What the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another Who Did It Better video. And it has been quite some time since I've done one of these. Now, in case you guys don't know, basically what this video is me comparing two figures made by two different companies of the same character. And I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Now, I will say these videos are very time consuming and I try to be as detail oriented as possible. So please guys, give this video a thumbs up. Even if you don't watch it in its entirety, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into some Jujutsu Kaisen greatness! Now, you guys know I am a sucker for art and presentation, so as always, I gotta start with the sexy packaging. I'll start with Figma. First off, you do have Yuji on the front looking really good, Yuji on the side with the Sukuna hand, Yuji up top using his cursed energy, Yuji on bottom using Black Flash. Then you do have him on the side using the cursed energy again, as well as on the back with all the accessories and several poses. Now, I do really like this smaller box that Figma has gone with versus the bigger ones that we used to get from them. I think this is just perfect. If they stick with this, I am fine with it. Now, that being said, talking about small boxes, I do really like this one from the SH Figuarts as well. You got Yuji right there with Sukuna, of course, looking down on him. You got all the Tamashii Nations logos and stuff. Nothing much going on this side. On this side, you got some of the accessories. On the bottom, we got Sukuna again. On the top, we got Yuji ready to go. And then, of course, on the back, we've got the figures, some of the accessories, and then all the legal stuff that I cannot read. So, box art for both. I do like both. I'm not going to make a choice on this one. And now, ladies and gentlemen, looking at both figures side by side, I gotta say, before I say anything, both of these figures look really dang good, man. Both of them look really good. Honestly, the main differences come from the head sculpts, and I'll take a closer look at those in just a second. But body-wise, you can see that they are almost two different builds despite having on the same outfit. Now, the SH Figuarts version clearly looks like the suit is a little bit bigger versus the one on the Figma. It looks like it's more form-fitting. Now, I can't say either of these are wrong simply because it just depends on art and interpretation. Sometimes Yuji is drawn and animated differently, so I'm not going to choose on that. Personally, when it comes to the colors, I don't really mind on either of these. The SH Figuarts is a little bit darker in paint when it comes to the outfit, as you guys can see, but what I do like about the Figma more for sure is the more vibrant colors in the collar and the shoes. They just pop a little bit more. This collar is more like a maroon versus this being a red, and then kind of the same thing with the shoes. Versus this is actually a little bit red, and this looks almost more like a brownish color. Once again, not to say either of them are incorrect. Now, in terms of the hair, this one has the more pinkish look. This has almost like a brown color to it. And this is more accurate to the anime. I know I said before they don't usually go based off anime or manga. It's more just a piece of art that I think companies go by. But in this particular instance, when it comes to the hair, at least I do think that there was some kind of reference there. Now, I do like the hair more on the Figma. Not the sculpt, but I like the color because it does capture that pink versus this looks a bit more brown. Now, the sculpt overall looks better on the SHF in my opinion. Now, when it comes to the color, the paint, things like that, the skin tone obviously is far superior on the SHF. Now, getting down to the faces, let's go ahead and zoom in a bit so we can take a closer look at them. Now, getting up close and personal with these guys, here's where you can really see the differences in the faceplates. It's so difficult for me to compare these because they are very obviously two different interpretations. So as usual, this is entirely up to you guys to choose which one you like more. The SH Figuarts has more of a sharper look. There's a little bit more detail in the face versus the Figma is kind of plain, but it still captures that anime-esque look. It's hard to choose on these because they both, in my opinion, look really good. Now, personally, I do like the faces better on the SHF. That's just me, but it's entirely up to you guys on this one. Now, another thing I really want to take a look at while I've got these guys up close are the joints. When it comes to the joints, I think SH Figuarts is superior because I love the look of these elbows. For one, it flows better in terms of how this looks versus with the Figma. As you guys can see, it kind of looks broken up because it almost looks like the second part of the lower arm is on a ball joint. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on camera, but that's how it looks to me. As far as the legs go, right around the crotch area, I do think Figma did that a little bit better, but there are some issues I had with the leg area on the Figma that I found out after I was done with my review. I'll make sure to discuss that a little bit later. Moving on down to the knees. Now, I'm sorry SHF once again takes this one because if you look at the way that bends, that looks perfect. I don't think they could have done that any better versus the Figma. I just don't like that knee, man. That knee is like awful. I really don't like that. But either way, both of them still look really good. But joints and everything, I'm sorry. Once again, I got to give it to the SHF. Now, one last thing I want to discuss. I feel like I already said that. I don't know. I like the way that SHF did the neck on this guy. It's just a double ball peg that pegs into the upper torso and it moves around fine. And you can get Yuji to look up a decent amount. I know I'm skipping to articulation kind of, but I'm mostly discussing like the aesthetics and how this figure was put together. Now with the Figma, I mentioned this in my video. Let me move him out of the way. I don't like the fact that this is all connected. I don't like that because what's going to happen is the more you articulate this, the more it's just going to pop off. And then it also hinders it because the collar is still attached to the neck in a way. And it's supposed to be a floating piece, but it's not a floating piece when it's meant to be attached. So it just kind of hinders a little bit. But either way, both of these are good, but I'm just giving it to the SHF when it comes to the joints and how the engineering works. Now, when it comes to the height of these guys, it's no secret that the SH Figuarts is going to be taller. Out of all the action figure companies, including domestic, that make 6-inch figures, I think Figma just makes the smallest figures. It's just something that they do. And I prefer taller 6-inch figures as long as they are within the 6-inch scale. But as you can see, the SH Figuarts is right at 6 inches, and then the Figma is a little bit shy of it. It's a very subtle difference, so it's not that drastic. But as always, I do prefer my figures to be a little bit bigger. So I got to give it to SHF. Now moving on to the articulation, this is where things get fun because both of these figures have really good articulation. The SH Figuarts looks up about that much. He looks down completely. You can get the chin in the collar. Head moves around perfectly. Arms go up and out. Exceptional. That is just really dang good, man. And then of course you can bring them all the way in for any of those Yuji poses that you want to get. He does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that come in all the way. Hands are on a ball peg, only being hindered by the wrist right here. The diaphragm joint at this guy leans forward only about, and I popped that off on purpose, about that much before it pops off. So you don't really get much lean out of Yuji. You get more lean back, but then of course you got to watch for the gapping. He does turn very, very well. He does also turn at the waist. The legs are on the, not so much new anymore, but basically the updated SH Figuarts thing, whatever you want to call it. These just work so well for Yuji. He can do the splits about that much. He does have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees that look really dang good. I want to specify that. Foot goes down about that much, up about that much, really good ankle rocker, and then he does have a toe hinge. So articulation wise on this Yuji, the only thing I would say SH Figuarts could have done better is the diaphragm joint. That's where they lacked on this guy. That's it. Now, when it comes to the articulation for Figma, This is some of the best that we've gotten. It does have a few issues that I'll highlight in just a second, but he looks up only about that much. Once again, it's just because of that collar. So if you push too much, that is going to come off. You can get him to look up, but you got to hold that piece down, and that's still about as much as you get. Looking down is a little bit better though. You can get the chin in the collar. He does tilt and everything really good. Arms go up and out about that much. I would say that's even better than SHF. But you do have to look out for those gaps in the shoulders. They're kind of ugly, but thankfully with those pieces at the butterfly joint, you can hide it just a little bit. Sometimes you'll see them, but for the most part, you can keep them hidden. Now, bringing the arms in, Figma killed it with this. I would also say this is probably even better than SHF. This is really, really good. He does have a swivel as well, but once you turn it, that's what you see underneath. I don't like that, but I mean, for articulation purposes, it doesn't bother me. It's on a single joint for the elbow, but it still comes in pretty far. Now, here we go again with what I don't like. The hinges on the hands. It's not so much the hinges, but the placement of where the hole is, because sometimes these can be a pain to articulate just because they put it at an angle instead of right in the middle. And then there's that head. Once again, you guys see what I mean with that. Anyway, moving further down, the diaphragm joint is easily the best part of this figure because that crunch forward is good. I cannot applaud this enough. That is really, really dang good. He doesn't lean back much though, and then when you try, there is a gap. I hope you guys can see that. You probably can't, but it is there. He does move around so good at the diaphragm. Of course, he does turn at the waist. Now, once again, we're moving into a problem. This is the problem that I found out when I was articulating this guy after I reviewed it. Now, the legs can do the splits that much. I would say that's even better than SHF. They kick forward very well. But one issue I had with the Figma when I was posing this guy around is that these legs pop off very, very easy. And the reason being is because the stems of the joints that are inside this crotch piece are just too small. So if you really get to posing this guy around, the legs are going to pop off constantly and it can get annoying. Now, if you're someone who just puts it in a neutral stance, then it won't be that much of a bother for you. But for me, I pose my figures, and so it got annoying very fast, especially the right leg here. Now, the knees work very good. I can't complain about how they function, more so about how they look. I just don't like that engineering. I've said that multiple times. It just looks like they put a skateboard wheel in there and went with it. I'm not digging that. But anyway, he does have a thigh swivel that works pretty well. He does have a swivel that is underneath the pants right here. That's good. It's not great, but it works. Foot goes down about that much, up about that much. Decent ankle rocker. Not as good as SHF, but it is there. And then he does have a toe hinge. So articulation wise, both of these figures are very good. You can't go wrong with either. Now, moving on to accessories, I really wanted to show the face plates off by themselves just so you guys can see what the real differences are and just how similar and different they are. Now, when it comes to the similarities, it's mostly in the ones where he's looking neutral or he's yelling. Obviously, they still have differences to them. The eyes are a little bit smaller on the SH Figuarts, and then as I mentioned earlier, the skin tone is just a little bit more saturated or tanned on the Figma. That's something I don't really care for. I feel like SHF truly got the skin tone right, but in terms of the paint on the eyes and everything, I would give that more so to Figma, especially if it's trying to capture a more animated look. Now, I do like the neutral face better on the SHF. I'm sorry, I think that one's much better, and the mouth is painted all the way on there versus just they didn't do it completely on my Figma. Maybe yours is different. Now, I know some people are wondering why the SHF got the looking to the side face. That is something that comes directly off of a manga cover, and if I find the image, I'll show you guys, but that's directly from one of the covers, so that makes sense. Now, the smiling Yuji face, you can say both of these were kind of unnecessary because this is from one particular page off the manga, and then Yuji, like I said, just doesn't smile anymore. If you read JJK, oh my god, Yuji has nothing to be smiling about. JJK is like a tragic anime. So, yeah. But the yelling faces, both of them look good. Once again, I think SHF just did it a little bit better. I like the smaller eyes on the yelling face because it really just captures more expression. It shows that he's frustrated or that he's really going in to battle. This one just has, which it is an anime, but this one has more of a more animated look. Now, last but not least, the Sukuna faces. And I could show two because Yuji did come with another Sukuna face that came with Megami where the eyes are looking forward. But I'm going with particularly what came with Yuji. So, specifically, this one. And I gotta say, this is where Figma takes it. The Sukuna face on the Figma version just looks ultimately superior. I love it way more than the SHF. It's not even a competition for me. Just that sinister grin with the teeth painted, and I just love it. Now, I do understand the SHF version because, I mean, most of the time we see Sukuna, he is sitting on his throne looking down at Yuji or just looking down at any enemy in particular. So it makes sense for them to have done this one, but I just think that Figma did it better. Now, we are going to be getting a Sukuna figure soon. Well, that could be just a rumor for now, but it's possible we'll be getting a Sukuna figure soon. So I can't wait to see what those turn out like. But yes, I did want to give you guys a view on the faces for sure. Now, when it comes to accessories, I mean, it's quite obvious that Figma is taking this one because the SH Figuarts are all on the left, and then of course you have the Figma on the right. SHF comes with 3 sets of hands, and then you have Figma, which comes with like, I don't know, 6 or 7. So they automatically take it. Then of course you have the Black Flash, and then the Cursed Energy effects, which I'm about to show you guys up close now. Now, as you can see, there is a major difference between these. I feel like SHF went with a more subtle look. I think these could have turned out to be so much better if they would have added the black that you can see on the Figma version. Because as you can see, the blue is in there, the translucent blue. There's several different blues, and then the black is painted on top. Versus the SHF, it's blue, but then it kind of fades to a darker blue, and then it's more translucent, and that's about it. So they really slacked off on these Cursed Energy effects. I'm hoping that if SHF makes more of these, they will kind of mimic Figma's style, because Figma absolutely just destroyed them with these Cursed Energy effects. Now, one question I did get that I thought I was going to answer in my Figma review, but I completely forgot, is if you can put the Cursed Energy effects on the SH Figuarts version. And here's the answer to that question. It is yes. The SH Figuarts hands are a little bit bigger than the Figma's, so I wouldn't leave these on too long. I mean, unless you're planning on permanently using them with this figure, but you might stretch the plastic a little bit, and I mean, no one wants them to fit loosely on the Figma if you decide to go back and forth. But yes, it is possible, and I'm also going to show it off with the Black Flash for those of you who want to see that. Pardon the posing, I'm just pretty much trying to show you guys that they do fit. Now, you do kind of got to wedge it in there the first time, but they will go. And then, boom, there it is. Black Flash, SH Figuarts Yuji. Perfect. And I think this looks really good. Now, when it comes to the size comparisons, I'm just going to show them off next to SH Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen figures, because if you watch my other reviews, then you'll see all the other size comparisons that I do. But here, both of them are standing next to the SH Figuarts Megami and the SH Figuarts Nobara. Once again, I don't think that either of these Yujis look bad in scale with these guys. I think they both look fine, and you could wedge either one of them. And then here they are standing next to the SH Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen 0, Yuta and Gojo. Once again, I think these look fine. I feel like Yuta is a little bit too tall, but I've heard that Yuta's actually supposed to be taller than Megami, so I guess this makes sense. I don't know. I didn't look up the heights, but either way, it works good enough. Lastly, since I at least want to get in 3 different comparisons, here they are both standing next to 2 different iterations of the symbiote Spider-Man. We have the Mafex on the left and the Marvel Legends retro version on the right. Now for my final thoughts on these guys, the first thing I want to say is that these videos are not made for me to sway you guys into picking one over the other. This is just simply me giving you the information that I have based on having both versions of these figures in order to help you make a decision on which one you want to pick up if you don't plan on buying both of them. Now, when it comes to me, I am always going to buy both, especially when it comes down to an anime that I enjoy, because there are certain things I like about the Figma more than the SHF. There are certain things I like about the SHF more than the Figma, and I feel like there is nothing wrong with having options. I cannot stand those people that are always like, oh, get this version because it's better than this. I like Figma more, so I'm going to get Figma. I like SHF more, so I'm going to get SHF. You never know. And I mean, if that's what you want to do, then by all means, but don't try to sway other people into doing that, because just because you like the Figma and you think the Figma is ultimately superior, that doesn't mean the next person that you tell to pick up the Figma is going to feel the same way. They might enjoy the SHF more, which is why I always recommend picking up both. Therefore, you can experience both. Whichever one you don't want, you just get rid of. It's so easy to sell toys and make your money back these days. I don't know why people want to be so picky. It just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But overall, both of these are solid pieces. I will say that I had more issues with the Figma than the SHF. Everything works well with SHF engineering. Like I said, the legs kind of pop off of the Figma from time to time. I don't really like the collar piece either. But other than that, it's solid. It's a solid release, and it's much better than I thought it was going to be. Initially, I had low expectations for the Figma just because of their track record, but this just showcases that they can do good things if they put their all into it. So you can't go wrong with either of these. Now, once again, guys, these videos are very, very, very time consuming. Lately, I don't have a lot of time, so I would appreciate it if you guys would drop a like, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content, and also see whenever I go live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I do want to know, do you guys have any of these? Did watching this video make you want to experience the other, or do you have both? I am curious on you guys' thoughts. But either way, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye.